What's up, traders? Welcome back to the channel with Generation Pips with another weekly Forex analysis video. I'm Eli. Grab your coffee. Let's go ahead and hit these charts. All right, so first thing we're going to do is start off with a trade recap of CAD CHF. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. On a weekly time frame, we can see that we had this weekly low. And we can also see that price was starting to range in here. So that's why I thought we'd see a perfect opportunity to potentially get in on the ranging action. So we transfer down to the daily time frame. We can see there was support here. And there was resistance up in this area. So we saw that price had came down, pulled back up, and I was waiting for a pullback on the 4-hour time frame to potentially get an entry. And on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that price came back with this bullish engulfing candle. I set a pending order in this area. We got knocked in by this wick candle here, and then we had a 1 to 3 risk to reward. This trade took us around 17 days, so a pretty hefty swing trade for 1 to 3, and that was CAD CHF. All right, so for our first pair of the week, we're going to be looking at Euro CHF on the weekly time frame. We can see that price is in an overall downtrend, right? It's not hard to see. We've got highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? Now, if we zoom in a little bit on recent price action, we can see that price is kind of stalling out a little bit. We got support here on the weekly where it pushes up, and it's pushing up now currently, right? And so what I'm looking at is this price action that's happening right in here. Price is kind of stalling out. It's not having these big momentum pushes to the downside. It's finding this support, and we're kind of stalling out, making somewhat of a flag motion down here, right? So what I'm going to do is drill into the daily time frame to see if this is building up for any type of reversal, right? So on the daily time frame, I can see that we are on a downtrend. We recently broke that trend line. We're met with this resistance here. So there's one or two things that I'm thinking about what's going to happen this week. Is price is going to touch this resistance, and we're going to sell back down into that weekly support, or price will potentially break and retest, and we'll actually tackle back into these highs around 95,700. So on a 4-hour time frame, let's go ahead and get rid of these drawings. On a 4-hour time frame, this is kind of what the price will look like for me going into this week. So price for me, we got either this sell-off like we just talked about, a nice rejection over there, or potentially price will break and go to the upside. And that's what I'll be waiting for on the 4-hour for Euro CHF going into this week. All right, so the next pair we're going to look at is Great Britain Pound CHF on a weekly time frame. We can see that price had support and then support here where wick and pushed to the upside. Now, if we go to zoom in, we can see that there is some bit of consolidation in here, and that's what we're going to look at on a daily time frame to see if we can get potential entry, right? So on a daily time frame, we see that price is rejecting resistance at the highs and rejecting support at the lows, and we're doing a lot of wicks at the bottom, right? So what I'm expecting going into this week to see if price can repeat itself and potentially push back up to the upside. Now, if the opposite happens, of course, we'll be waiting for a breakdown, a retest, and then we'll come back and tackle these daily lows. But for right now, I've got a bullish bias as we're going with previous price action unless proven otherwise. So on a 4-hour time frame, I'm waiting to see if price can potentially give us a nice entry candle, was a bullish engulfing candle, morning star, double bottom, some type of formation. And I would love to get an opportunity to get in here with price below the lows and then tackle back up here, potentially for another 1 to 3 risk reward trade. And that's going to be Great Britain Pound CHF. All right, so for the last pair, I'm actually going to break this down from the monthly time frame just to give you guys a holistic perspective of this trade specifically. So we got Euro Great Britain Pound on the monthly time frame. We see that we got resistance and we got support. Price is in a sideways range. Price is just moving sideways, right? Price tapped into that monthly support, and it's finishing up potentially with a morning star for the month of January. It's not confirmed yet, but we are pushing in that direction. Drop down to the weekly time frame, and on the weekly, we can see that price was in a downtrend here. You know, price was pushing to the downside, right? It tapped into this weekly level support, and it's starting to push back up potentially to this weekly level of resistance. So that's something key that we want to look into as we go into the daily time frame and potentially find a trading opportunity. Drilling down to the daily time frame, we can see that price is being met with this daily level of resistance where price shoots down every time it touches, right? And we're forming some type of wick at this area. So two things that I'm looking at potentially. Price uses this daily resistance as we have here, and it shoots to the downside, or price breaks here, retest, and then shoots back to the upside to that weekly area that we just talked about on the weekly time frame. So those are my two positions that I'm potentially looking into going into this week for Euro Great Britain Pound. Well, thank you guys for tuning into this week's analysis video. For more content, follow us on Instagram. That's going to be at GenerationPips. Remember to subscribe and hit that like button if you really enjoyed this video. Also, drop your comments below. We love hearing from you guys. Stay tuned for next week's analysis. And as always, happy trading.